good to see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd. Exactly 1 year ago, this Monday, I spoke at DevTO about cross-platform apps, though it was a slightly different topic. So if you were here at the last one, I promise you there's new material. My name is Manny Elawar. Yeah. My name is Manny Elawar. I'm a Senior Enterprise Solutions Manager, which is a long-winded way of saying that I consult with a lot of BlackBerry's top enterprise customers and helping them build out their mobility strategies. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today and how developers like yourselves can target large enterprise customers even though you're not a large enterprise yourself. There's a lot of room, a lot of opportunity. I want to talk about that today. Many of you might remember me as a developer evangelist when I came here last for BlackBerry, but as we've transitioned into focusing on the enterprise as our core strategy, my role shifted as well. So is there anyone in the crowd that works for a large enterprise? Okay, so if you'd like to at any point throw up your hand and provide an anecdote, please do, because it's great to hear real-world experience on what I'm talking about. BlackBerry's been focusing a lot lately on the enterprise for a couple different reasons. One, it's our bread and butter. It has been for over a decade. It's what we're known for, enterprise security and mobility management. But on top of that, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity there. And I want to just show you one small infographic from Vision Mobile. If you're familiar with Vision Mobile, they provide a lot of developer economic surveys and information. And here's one that struck me as extremely interesting, not just from an enterprise perspective, but from a mobility developer perspective. And that was the amount of money that can be made in the enterprise space through mobile applications, but yet how few people are actually targeting. So 16% of developers are targeting the enterprise audience specifically, and yet 67% are targeting consumers, yet it's becoming increasingly difficult to actually find financial viability by targeting the consumer segment. So I want to kind of bridge the gap between why this is the case, why it's becoming increasingly profitable to target the enterprise, and also why people aren't necessarily doing it yet. And hopefully I can motivate you to do the same. So backing up a bit, this is where BlackBerry kind of rose and found its beginning, was in a scenario in which everyone was tied to their desktop PCs within the enterprise. If you were ever going to do any work for your company, you were locked down on your enterprise desktop. And your IT administrators, all they had to do was secure that one desktop or that one location. It was, at the time, difficult, but in hindsight, quite easy because that computer or that device is never moving and never leaving beyond the infrastructure or the firewall of the company. So those considerations, such as being able to access data from outside the corporation, weren't necessarily issues for them. As laptops got into the enterprise, then came VPN networks. Now we're presented with this. This is the reality of today. Now it isn't quite this crazy, right? But this is a mobile store. This is where you buy a smartphone from, and there's so many different options, right? And this is what brought about the BYOD market. So this isn't it, right? There were just mobile smartphones as we're experiencing today. What we're moving towards is IoT, or the Internet of Things, and machine-to-machine. It's estimated that within the next decade, we're going to see anywhere from 50 billion to 1 trillion connected devices. So we're not talking about just managing, securing smartphones and tablets. We're also looking at managing devices that are connected everywhere, not just in our pockets or screens in front of our faces. Not only that, but there's tremendous opportunity in this space. The investment is upwards of $1.4 trillion just by the next couple of years. So what does that mean for us? It means we're looking at 10 times the connected devices, 100 times the applications that are going to be managing all of these devices. This is opportunity for you guys. We're looking at this within the enterprise, being able to manage endpoints all over the world and collecting the data from it. And this is the key. The amount of data that's going to be generated that needs to be secured, that needs to be managed, that needs to be mined. This is the key right there. Does anyone wear a fitness tracker or wearable of any kind? Okay. So just a little example for you. There was an earthquake in San Francisco a few months back, and it was in the middle of the night. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. What happened was Jawbone decided to mine the data of people's movements relative to their epicenter, relative to the radius of the epicenter of the earthquake, right? So they mined all that data and found correlation between how long people were awake compared to where they were relative to where the earthquake originated. They packaged up that data, they sold it to an infographic company. That infographic company generates a nice infographic for the evening news and sells it to them. Your data that's just being generated on your wrist is being used for purposes you can't even possibly imagine. These are the types of areas that enterprise need to get into, or developers like yourselves need to get into, to fuel this kind of opportunity. So, that also leads us to security. This type of data, this vast amount of data is being generated, and we're starting to hear instances like Home Depot, or Sony, or JP Morgan having large data breaches that can cost them a lot of money. The average data breach in the United States in 2012 cost the companies $5.4 million. That was the average breach. Some of them were much more sizable than that. And if you also look at the number of organizations that are utilizing enterprise mobility management strategies to secure that data, it's only at about 30 or 35%. Right? So what are these other companies that have very sensitive data utilizing to manage and secure that data? They're not using the MDM strategies, the enterprise mobility strategies that are necessary and required. Reasons being, they seem to think that they don't have the money to do it. That at this point in their organization or at this point in their life cycle, they don't have the money to invest into enterprise mobility. They don't have the money to be able to convert or update legacy systems. Yet when you show them how much a data breach is going to cost them, all of a sudden the money is available. And they realize it's an education thing. And so these are kind of the building blocks that led us to the desire or the need to actually lock down the enterprise. And I mean, some industries have already been realizing it, right? Think like government, military, healthcare, finance. All of these guys are top customers of ours. All of these top enterprises and industries and organizations are utilizing enterprise mobility management. Now what they need, because the table stakes is just locking down the device, now what they need is applications to make their employee base more mobile and more productive while they're being mobile. So I get it. I get that it can seem like a daunting task. It can seem like completely changing the process in your organization to lock down mobile devices and also provide applications that enable your employee base to be more productive. It can seem like a large task, but when you look at outweigh the pros versus the cons, you realize this is a necessity. We have to get people from this stage to this stage. Right? So once you've accepted the fact that you need to free people from their desktops, and it may seem for many of us in this room that are tech savvy and use mobility every day, we're mobile people, it may seem like this doesn't exist anymore, but it does. It really does. It's still an issue today where people aren't utilizing mobility as a means to fuel productivity within the business. So the facts are, there's applications that were built, typically being used on a desktop or a laptop within the browser, that were built to power your business, and now they need to move to mobile. You've accepted the fact that we need to be able to create enterprise mobility as a strategy for fueling innovation and growth within the company. Let's talk about some of the different ways we can do that. What we did on my team at BlackBerry is we analyzed through consultations that we've had with various top customers, what are the issues in mobility that come up the most? What is it that they value the most in enterprise mobility applications that run on mobile smartphones and tablets? And we've created what we call the 4 pillars. These are things that either BlackBerry helps with or that enterprises have asked us for. The first one being connectivity. So as I mentioned previously, security is extremely important within the enterprise. So when you're developing an application for the enterprise, connectivity is crucial. And traditional VPN solutions that exist for mobile devices, they weren't really designed for mobile, so they introduced things like extreme battery drain or kludgy mechanisms by which the user has to actually connect to the virtual private network. What we did with BlackBerry is we said, okay, this is going to be a fundamental issue. This is going to be an issue in which we have data outside of the corporate environment, or so we have devices outside of the corporate environment that need to access data within it in a secure manner. This is where BlackBerry started, what we call the BlackBerry Enterprise Service, or the BES. It allows the ability for an organization to create a single outbound connection to our secure infrastructure. And any device, be it a BlackBerry, an iOS device, Android, or Windows, can map back to behind the firewall to that BlackBerry Enterprise Server in an always-on connected secure manner. That allows you as a developer the ability, if you're developing for an enterprise that has this type of infrastructure in place, to have peace of mind in knowing that whatever you're creating for the enterprise, they're going to be able to access their data in a secure manner. And this is what's critical for them, is accessing data. So much data that they need to be able to have on the road with them at all times. What it does for the devices that are out there is it allows them to have almost a dual persona. There is the personal side of the device that the user would have, things like Facebook and Candy Crush. And then there'd be the work side of the device. It's the secured area of the device that allows the IT administrators of an organization the ability to deploy applications and to manage them and to enforce restrictions on how that area, that secure part of the device is used. It's as if you've extended the firewall of the company to that device. And so your application, that secure work application, would have a direct secure pass-through to the company's infrastructure. The next issue that we find in creating or generating applications for the enterprise is in the actual management of the applications themselves. Things like sending around an email with a link to the application just won't do, right? You need the ability to deploy applications to all of your employees. You need the ability to perform versioning and automatic updates without the need for them to have to perform any action, so that you're ensured that they have the latest tools available to them. And this is an area where our product excels in. Standards. So this is something that comes up quite frequently. I'm always constantly asked by customers, should I develop natively for the different platforms, or should I create a cross-platform application? And I always tell them, it really depends on what you're trying to achieve with the application, but in most of the use cases that enterprises have, it's very much CRUD type applications, much like in database transactions. Create, read, update, delete. They're trying to access data at the end of the day. So what I always recommend is try your best to use one language, one framework that allows you the ability to deploy across all of these different devices and platforms. For a couple different reasons. One is managing multiple code bases. Resourcing for an enterprise is critical, and to staff up for a single application or for a few applications, having expertise in all the various platforms and managing the code bases and maintenance and change requests is a daunting task. And so if you're able to choose a framework that allows you the ability to just write one common code base that can deploy across all of the major platforms, then all of the employees within the organization can be serviced much easier, and you also can maintain the application much easier as well. And the second is tooling and resources. Again, you're going to have to be either training a single person up in learning all of the tool sets that are required for these different platforms, or you can have one knowledge base, one set of tools and services that you utilize for your applications and deploy them in an easy manner. And there's a lot of frameworks are almost, in the web world, frameworks are popping up everywhere on a regular basis. So these are just a few examples of popular ones, but as you do your research, find which one works for you. You'll find that they all tailor to specific needs of developers and the type of work that they do, but for the most part, any one of them would work just fine for the types of applications enterprises require. Here's an example. This was something built in Cordova, but also utilized something that we have as a UI framework called BBUI. And you can see the same application being run on a couple of BlackBerries, but also an iPhone, an iPad, and the Samsung Galaxy S4. It's the same application that can run cross-platform, written with one code base. If you'd like, you can go to our GitHub repository and download that sample and many others that showcase how to perform work like this. Lastly, when we talk about the 4 pillars, we talk about push notifications because it enables productivity. And I mean, anyone here that's utilizing their common applications almost always push is a core feature of them. It makes you re-engage with the application on a regular basis. And allowing an employee to automatically be alerted about the information that they need on a regular basis is critical to get them involved with using that tool and getting them on board. So obviously, I won't dig too deep into this. Isn't a BlackBerry pitch, so I won't dig too deeply into how BlackBerry can help. But a lot of these 4 pillars are made easier for developers when our best product is utilized, because they allow for the complete end-to-end solution for mobility and the enterprise serviceability in the back end. So this is kind of the evolution of how the enterprise landscape has evolved, right? It started out with just simply needing email and calendar meeting requests on my hip, my BlackBerry holstered on my hip. And that's all there was to it. But as iPhone and Android came out, it created this need for BYOD, cross-platform functionality, and all of a sudden, when the app ecosystem flourished, and the ability to deploy applications cross-platform. That's kind of how we have evolved as well. But as we move into further products and evolving the platform, we're seeing a lot of different services being added on top of that for enterprises, because we see the need for enterprises to be able to purchase enabling products off the shelf because they don't have the resources internally to build them. So I always get approached by developers saying, okay, that's great, you showed me that cool infographic saying it's so much more lucrative to develop for the enterprise, but not many people are doing it. I want to be an early adopter or get in the game early, but how do I do it? And so I'll go through a couple of examples, hopefully to inspire you as to the type of stuff that enterprises need that we're working on. We're investing, obviously, in the mobility management side of things, but collaboration, communication, identity are really key things that enterprises are looking for seamless solutions to. So one such thing is a product we launched called BBM Protected, which provides additional layers of security for industries like the military and the government to be able to communicate safely, knowing with peace of mind that their communications can't be intercepted. Another product that we've been working on, which I find extremely, extremely cool, is what we call BlackBerry Blend, the ability to have my mobile experience wirelessly transmitted to my laptop or my PC or my tablet. So always having the ability to communicate through my mobile device, even if it's in my pocket or in the room upstairs, and be able to take that experience from computer to computer. That's something that's heavily desired in the enterprise, and we're getting a lot of strong feedback on it. Other value-added services, which I won't get into, like VoIP authentication, it's almost mind-boggling how long we've been carrying RSA tokens attached to our keychain. It's like, why isn't there just a software way to do that? And that's something we're offering now. And then a couple of areas that I think are inspiring for startups, if any of you are running them. These are companies we've acquired that we're bringing into the fold as offerings to enterprises. One is SecuSmart, which is a company that allows the ability for encrypted voice phone calls. So as a value-added service to our best product, we allow secure conscious corporations the ability to have encrypted voice through the work container on their device, which obviously adds a lot of value to people that are security conscious. Another one is MoVirtue, which is a really cool platform that allows multiple accounts, billing, plans on a single SIM card. So in integration with what we're doing, you'll have the ability to have a work phone account and a personal phone account. Your company's billed for the company calls and data that you consume, and your personal plan is utilized as you wish. You can set up whatever you'd like. I know it's a pain for me. I always get emails from my administrator saying, hey, your bill's way too high, you gotta stop texting when you're in the States, blah, blah, blah. I go, listen, what do you want me to do, right? Well, in this situation, I could have my own unlimited North American texting plan or whatever. They get off my back, and the company can just pay for what they need me to do for work. So that's all I'm going to present today. Obviously, any questions are welcome. If you're interested in developing for the enterprise, you can always reach out to me, but we also have a partner program. Partner.blackberry.com has all the details. And please develop for the enterprise. That's everything. Thank you. Yes?
Might be a stupid question. Was MDM?
No stupid questions.
MDM?
Mobile device management.
Oh.
Right, so the ability to provision devices to be managed by the IT administrator to remote wipe, password block, deploy applications, etc. All remotely. Yeah?
So your device synchronization with the desktop, it says no cloud and no direct connection to the device. So what magic do you use there?
So that is, we say that as positive points. A lot of people have data that they don't want to be uploaded to the cloud, or files that don't want to be uploaded to the cloud, they want to be able to access. The use case I would provide, and one that's particularly useful for the enterprise, is I'm working on a critical presentation that I'm presenting to the board of directors next week. I want to keep that with me at all times on my phone, but I want to be working on it across multiple computers. The way that works is you can either connect via Wi-Fi. A secure HTTP connection is made between my laptop, the client running on the laptop, and my phone. And it allows me the ability to have file system through the client, email, calendar, contact, etc. And I'm able to open up files, work on them, save them back to the device, and then just go home, continue working on it at home by connecting with Blend to a different computer.
Okay, so it's still a direct tunnel between the two devices.
It is, yeah, but there's no, it's literally just that one connection. There's no cloud magic going on. No one's interfering with
It
it.
just sounded like that was also excluded, right? From
Oh, no. And you know what? If you do want to, if you're paranoid about that, you can just hook it through USB. But Wi-Fi is easier. It's nice. I literally just come home, I open up my laptop, and it just says, oh, your BlackBerry's connected, and I can do whatever I want, BBM, email, etc. through there. What's really nice is, for me, the only area where I can get all of my calendars in one spot is on my device, right? So I have my work calendar, my Gmail calendar, Facebook, etc. And so to have that on my laptop through Blend is convenient as well. Yeah?
Sorry, I'm monopolizing the floor here, but nobody else is asking questions. The part about using your own data plan or your own cell phone plan for your personal use, separating it from the company stuff, that implies 2 separate SIM cards.
No, the key, MoVirtue, allows you the ability to do that with one SIM card. That is their offering.
So how are you segregating the two?
That's the magic of MoVirtue.
Because most mobile phones now, they have their baseband computer, basically. It's a separate CPU, right? That controls your SIM card. And they bridge that over to iOS or whatever it is, right? And there's really no way for you to... I realize you guys do the hardware too, so I mean, you got your own back doors.
Right. Well, I mean, like this isn't an offering we created. We purchased MoVirtue. They've already been doing it across multiple devices and carriers for a long time now. A primary use case for them is in small villages in areas like, say, in Africa, where the hardware is a very large cost. So they'll purchase, multiple families will purchase a single device, and then they'll have the MoVirtue software running to allow for multiple pay-as-you-go plans, and then they all just share the phone when they need it to make phone calls and send texts.
Yeah. I'm more interested in the technology though, because I've been trying to do that shit for about
well, I mean,
5 years now.
Fair enough. Connect with me, and if I'm able to, I'll connect you to the person that can provide that information for you.
All right, thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you.